Hello.
Hi,
Hi, sir. Good evening.
good evening.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, that's okay.
I could see you just started recording as well.
Yeah.
You're able to see my screen?
Yeah.
These are the topics we discussed during our last class.
Hmm.
Without doubt on any of the topic.
No, everything is fine.
Anything, any confusion in serialization?
No.
One last topic in the serialization.
Okay.
The most common interview question in the serialization along with this. This is also one of the lead to it. Okay.
Version
Serial
UI.
version UID. Okay, serialization ID. You can, in the short you can read it as serialization ID. Okay.
Okay.
So in the last class, like we have created a student object and we have saved the structure, right?
Yes.
And we could able to read it. So I
Yeah.
did that. We have a couple of fields in that student object and we have saved and we have read. So it was working fine. So so right now, like we have like the student structure might be having a couple of 10 fields and it was saved successfully. For the period, there might be a change in the structure. Means I might have removed some fields out of those 10. I might have added new things. So something has disturbed in the layout structure point of view.
Okay.
Okay. So, like after that, like I would like to read the content which was saved some time ago. So with the old structure, right?
Okay. I mean, before doing
Yeah,
changes to the
yeah.
structure.
Before changing, just as an example, 10 fields were there. You have saved successfully. It was working fine. After a few months, like after some time, so like we continuously update something. So there might be change in the structure of your object, right? You might have added a couple of fields and deleted something. So some manipulation has happened. So like, now when you try to read, your student object is not was the same when it was saved into a file, right? Both are different. So when you do that, so usually it will not work because both are different structures, right? So then it is going to give us an issue. If giving it's an issue, and if it's not able to retrieve, what is the point of saving the data in the file, right? There will be a problem, right? We are losing the data. So
Okay.
basically, even though something, even though there was a change in the structure, except for those modified fields, at least if we could retrieve the data for the fields which were not modified, then we are at least happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
At least what are the fields which are available? If you give us those fields, so with that, like at least we will proceed with something. If you're not able to
Okay.
do anything else, then it will be a problem, right?
Mm.
The problem is when you save an object to a like when you serialize, so usually
So you want to get the old structure?
not all the data.
Sorry, old data.
So obviously, right? Let's say I would like to display a report. So
Mm.
when I try to read, if I'm not able to retrieve, so there is no point of saving the data in the file.
Yes. Yes.
So because structure got changed, if it's not able to give, if it's not able to give, there is no point of me storing the data in that file. There should be something that, so I'm okay that the fields were modified, except those fields. If you can give me the other values, with that value, probably I can display something, right? Ignoring completely. So problem is there is a version change. Means old version was something and the current version was something, right? That's what the problem is. So how it internally checks is like when you try to save an object in a file, means when you serialize an object, calculates a version ID based on the fields and the methods and all those things. Suppose you have 10 fields, okay? So it might have calculated version ID as 10, okay? And now the structure is version ID. So I might have added 5 fields, suppose. So now version ID might be 15 because it is calculating based on the number of fields, number of methods, all other. It checks everything within your class and it calculates some version ID. Because there is a difference in the version ID. When I saving, it was 10. When I retrieve, it was 15. So they're not matching. Hence, you'll be getting an invalid serialization ID. You'll be getting. So it will not allow you to retrieve that object. If you want to beyond that, what you have to do, you should not give an option for Java to generate serialization ID. It's your responsibility to mention that this is my version ID. So if you, let's say, you can mention any number. If you mention some number while writing your Java code, so because you already mentioned, Java is not going to generate anything. So let's say you might have mentioned 1. So while saving it as 1. So obviously while returning, it is 1. So except for the matching fields, it's going to give us the data. You're there now?
Yes.
So I'll show you the problem and then I'll show you.
Okay.
The student object. This is the student object. I will transit we know, right? Now I'll remove it. Just for like I'm adding a couple of fields. Assuming this is the new structure, so while saving, I'll just fill print. Marks and department also will print. One, two. Assuming that this is your current structure, these are the fields.
Okay.
Object. It was saved successfully. When you read student object, it was reading everything, right? So now I'll change the structure. Something is manipulated in the structure. Okay, now when I go to read object directly, what has happened? Local class incompatible. It has generated a serialization version ID, this one, when it was this one. So if you look at the numbers, these are the IDs generated. So when saving, it was something. So now when you are trying to retrieve, it was something. Hence, it is not able to proceed further to retrieve the data. Invalid class exception. But
Okay, you added some new fields, so it is showing the issue.
I added, which
New.
intention is changing the structure. Like I added,
Yeah,
I changed the data types, and overall something is modified.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. You modified.
When I try to retrieve, as I told you, if you are not mentioned any serialization functionality, it will calculate based on the number of fields, data type of fields, and all those fields, right? So for our convenience, I'm just giving the number as 10, but usually it will generate a number something like this. Okay.
Okay.
So when you save, it might have generated 10 serialization functionality. So when you are trying to retrieve, once again it tries to calculate based on all these fields. Now this time it might have generated something else, for example 15, because fields were changed, data types were changed, something is manipulated, right?
So while running, does it generates the ID automatically? I mean, ID means that number.
Yes, exactly. So means here two things. When you serialize, it generates an ID and saves data. When you deserialize, means when you deserialize anything, when you try to read back, once again it goes to your Java class and do all those things and get version ID. So if that version matches, then only it will proceed further with reading. If that doesn't match, it will straight away say with this error.
Okay.
Invalid class exception, because you read the statement, local class incompatible. It's serialization was not something, and serialization was not something.
Okay. Two IDs are different.
Exactly. Two IDs are matching. Obviously, it feels that both are not same. Then why should I go further with the reading?
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, understood.
This is one of the important questions. So why we need to go for this one, or how do you implement this, and anything related to this one? Okay. So now to resolve this, what you have to do, you have to mention a serialization version ID when you save an object. When you save an object, if you mention an ID, it doesn't generate anything. So when you retrieve an object, it sees that it is already mentioned, so it doesn't generate an ID. So obviously IDs will be same, right? It will
Okay.
Got it?
Okay.
Now this is the current structure, suppose. So what we have to mention. In Eclipse, we have a direct option to declare this variable. Okay. This is a serialized version ID. You can give any number. Otherwise, you can ask Eclipse to generate it.
Okay.
So just I'll remove it. So just show you how it has generated. So as and when you give the statement in an Eclipse, it shows this icon. Click on this icon. It shows a couple of options. Either you can go for generated, means it will generate the big number like that.
Okay.
If you
By default. Okay.
Yes, if you give a default it is 1L. 1L is nothing but long value.
Okay.
Just for us, like any unique number. It should be. Now this is the structure, right? Now I'm saving it. Saved successfully. Now what I'm trying to do, I'm going to modify the structure now. Now structure got changed something, right?
Yes.
When I go for reading, something I didn't. Incompatible class with repeat. Okay. No, that issue is different. That is.
So it is showing again incompatible.
So earlier it was what is that? This is the data type is earlier it was integer, right?
Yes.
So it is trying to, it's not able to load the data into this field because the data type itself is changed.
Yeah, we changed to string.
Yeah, the earlier issue was something different, right? Version ID issue. So this time there is no version ID. How to remove this?
So why it is showing only to that field? Actually, you changed.
It's a data type issue. It's not related to that conversion perspective. Data type conversion issue.
Okay.
Object. Oh, on the data types are modified, right? Okay, better. I'll go with the beginning.
Yeah, in for M1, M2 also
Data
you change.
Yeah. So what
You just get float there.
was there. So I'll add the structure.
Okay.
So I'll come from the beginning. So this is department name, right? So department ID. So let's remove this. I'll show from the beginning. So suppose this is the current structure.
Okay.
Without serialization version ID. I saved successfully. It is retrieved, right? Now I'll modify the structure. Remove grade and remove. So obviously printing I have to remove, right? Grade. So let's complete. I'm going to try to redirect. Version problem. This is what
version. Oh, we need to give the version ID.
We'll give the version ID to default ID. Now we'll save an object. Now we'll try to change this structure.
So already you changed, you deleted some of the fields, right? You changed the structure.
I made it empty structure. So I came back to the original state, right?
Okay.
So after that I saved and I read, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I just cleaned some of the fields. So job type and data birth, these are the two fields which we added. And I try to write this time. Got it? Any confusion? So earlier what I did was I'm just playing with the same fields data type. So when I play with the same data type, earlier it was string and now it was int. So when I try to store, that's where the problem. That means version problem is resolved. After that, it is trying to populate the value which was saved sometime back into the current field. Data type problem, that's where incompatible type.
Okay.
Data fields. If you observed earlier, only these are the fields, right?
Yes.
They saved and it was saved and retrieved successfully. We in the structure we added a couple of fields. So when we add a couple of fields, when we try to retrieve the object, what's happening now? This time, though there is a change in the structure, we are able to retrieve the reason is version ID is matching.
Okay. So we should not change the data types here. Why? Because it will show the issue.
It's conversion with the issue. So basically, when we change the structure, we might change that. We might add a new columns and we might remove an existing column.
Yeah, we didn't change the types. Okay, yeah.
Clear now?
Yeah, so whenever we use the serialization, it is good practice to use this serialization ID also.
Yes, exactly. Serialization was not in it is need to be mentioned. It's most common nowadays. Like whether you go with the serialization or not, still we will provide whenever any class implements this one, add something either default or generated, whatever you follow as per your project standard. Make sure to add that.
Okay.
It will
Okay.
never give the issues like this. Like when you
Okay. In future, if you want to add any or if you want to change the structure,
definitely it happens. Like when we are working on a project, means today it might be only few fields. In future, you might have some more fields because as in the project continuously we are working on, updates might happen, right?
Yes, yes.
Updates we might add. So we do not want to face the issue over the period of time. When
Okay.
we take precaution at the time of designing level. Got it? So
Understood.
exception that we might have seen is java.class exception. So exception that we have seen is InvalidClassException is observed. Right? Always make sure to have the serialization version ID, which is the long number, which is going to be generated if you're not giving. If it is generating means that's where the problem is, like you are giving to allow.
Okay.
Yep.
Invalid class exception. Okay.
Even it's better to remember this exception as because they might ask you something like what is the exception, you might say.
Oh, it just now you said that it gives us something big number that.
Yeah. Oh, no, the exception. What kind of exception you might get? It's invalid class exception.
Oh, yeah.
Exception name. So usually they'll ask this one as well.
Okay, invalid class exception. Okay.
So, primary reason, if you are able to convince, that should be fine because like if you know what's happening in the background, right?
Yeah. Just it is showing just two local numbers that it is not. That is not going to match. That's why it's showing an error, right?
Exactly. That's the root cause.
So we need to say that one.
No, overall, whatever you understand, you can tell. Like the primary why we need to go for this one.
Okay.
Know
Okay.
that,
Got
like,
it.
then we are good.
Okay. They will ask what is the issue we are going to face. Okay.
Yes. So it depends on the person once again. Like what is the exception you are going to get. So what is the purpose of this? So if I not implemented this, if I not added this one, what happens? We'll end up with this one. Root cause is versions are not matching.
Yeah, versions are not matching. Right. Simple.
If they are convinced, then so that should be fine, right? Inner classes. Have you heard the word inner class?
No, I do not remember.
Okay. So inner classes are basically like we call it as helper classes.
Okay.
So suppose you are dealing with some functionality. So instead of generally, let's say if that class is having lot of methods to code, lot of functional to code. So either you can create one more class. So if you create one more class, that's an accessibility issue because anybody can import that class and anybody can use that class, right? So my primary reason is only I would like to use that class. So what I have to do, I'm going to create one more class inside my class. So here, only the class which is created by the main class is going to have access to it. So I'm just separating, instead of creating separate method, I'm just separating it as a class inside my class for maintainability. That's where the inner class, we usually use the word called helper classes. Like inner classes are used to kind of like provide some kind of helping functionality, kind of utility functionality which can be developed. As part of that, we go for inner class. We have three types of inner classes: anonymous inner class, local inner class, member inner class.
Okay.
These are the three categories which can be seen with it. So when I say anonymous inner class, a class that is having no name is called anonymous inner class. When you are giving a name to any class, but still you are coding a class, that is called anonymous inner class.
Okay.
Okay, that means within your class, you are going to create one more class. Okay, that comes under inner class. Up to that, you are clear, right? But
After
that, like, but while coding that class, you are not going to code in the regular way. You are going to code in an anonymous way, means without naming it. you are creating. So for what reason? I do not want, if I give a name, so I can later call within that class with that name, right?
Okay.
So there are certain situations that I might use only for one time. So why should I say with a separate name? And that's one of the possibility, right? But I'll just means the reason is I'm not going to name if I'm going to use that functionality for once. So why should I name as a separate class? I'll just apply a class and I'll use it. That's where an anonymous class comes into picture. Means you are the whatever you are dealing with the class here, the class is not going to have any name internally.
Okay.
That is called anonymous class. I'll show you the usage. Usually, if you want to provide the implementation for this, you might have action at this one, right? In this part, that's where you provide. But what I'm going to create an anonymous class. So I'll say person equal to new person. So here, if you look at it, if you're going to must implement override method is saying. So it's kind of like you are implementing that behavior. So what you have to do, you have to provide the logic for it now. So let's see. So this kind of declaration is called anonymous. Generally, we cannot instantiate this one, right? That's an
Yeah.
abstract class, right?
Yeah, we can't create object for that abstract class, right?
Yes, yes. But here,
Yes.
anonymously, we have created a class. So this is a class which is created anonymously.
So okay.
And the
But
definition
it's
was,
wrong, right? You cannot create object for instance for that abstract class.
but anonymously we can, like the in general, we cannot say person P equal to new person.
Okay, I mean it's not showing any error actually. If we do any mistake, automatically it will show the error.
But here there's no mistake. You're able to compile and you're able to run right here, right?
So okay, for abstract class also
One
we can
second. I'm
create the instance.
copying like this, commenting like this. If you do like this,
Okay.
this cannot be done.
Okay.
Cannot instantiate the person. But what I'm doing, I'm just not instantiating, just an object declared, and dynamically I'm creating one class, and that class I'm showing in this one.
Okay.
This you are not creating instance for this one. Dynamically, you are creating a class which is implementing, which is like implementing the person, the abstract class, and that reference you are storing in this P. It's not.
Oh,
It's not that you are not.
implementing a method, right? This is
Yeah.
not a class show.
This is like kind of an anonymous class. What
Okay.
I'm collecting here, you are creating one more class. Inside that, you are extending you are implementing a functionality related to person, which is an abstract class.
Okay.
That class reference you are storing in P. It's not
Okay.
that you are getting instance for P.
Mm.
Okay. So generally, we can do this part, right? If I do
Mm.
this part, we can do that, right?
Mm.
Generally,
Mm.
so
Mm.
that we are storing some other variable.
Mm.
I'm not creating instance for that. If you are
Mm.
clear that, then it's clear.
Understood.
Right? Clear with this?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. So this is the anonymous classes. The next one, local inner class. That means
Ah,
if you declare a class locally to a particular method, means assume that you have a method. Inside that,
okay.
you have a created one more class inside that method. The advantage here is the life of that class is only visible within that method, right?
Mm.
That's where the local inner class. So your intention is you would like to have one class, but that class should be usable only within that class, that particular method. Beyond that, it should not accessible, though it's part of the same class.
Okay.
That's where the local inner class. This is the method, right? Inside this, I'm going to create it, and then I can declare variables right here.
Yeah.
Maybe we are going to create a class now. We can print the variables. So that way, you just similar to your variable declaration, you just declared one class here within your method. Agree?
Agree.
So then you can create a variable for your class, and same way creating other things, and you can call whatever. So this is completely this class completely creating a class and invoking a class. Everything was there inside show method. Now that means if you call a show method, then this complete thing will be executed. So how do we call create instance for your main object?
Okay.
Hello. If you comment this part, the rest everything is like right? Whatever you're creating a class for it, you're calling a method, right? Inside this, what we did, we just created one more variable, like which is a class
One
type.
more.
One more class.
Class.
So similar to other variables. So
Mm.
let's say if you declare string, new string, and we are doing some manipulation in the string, right? In the same way, I declare one more class. I'm just accessing it.
Okay.
So this is called local inner class. The life of this class only span within these big and end brackets. Beyond that, if you ask anywhere, nobody
Okay.
knows what is that class is, though it is part of
Okay.
the same class, right?
Mm. But for anonymous, we did it in a main method. We declared that.
You can it's anywhere like so. If you create one more, when I say anonymous, anywhere if you do like this, it comes under anonymous.
Okay.
In the main method, suppose if you have some other method, so inside this, if you do this, so basically remember that anonymous means on the fly we open like we declare something and open a bracket and close it and in between write a logic. That
Just
part
we
comes.
don't give any class name like that.
Yes. That's where like that anonymous class comes to picture. That type of nature is called anonymous.
Okay, we can do that anywhere, not only in main method. Just we can declare.
Anywhere.
Okay, understood.
So this is in this case like the person is a class, and in this class we are using, so hence we did in main method. But this kind of nature we can do it in constructors anywhere.
Yeah, understood.
This one also you can do it anywhere, but it has to be part of a method or a constructor. So obviously, life of it spans only within that method or the constructor. This also you can do anywhere.
Okay.
Suppose you could declare this part here. Obviously, this class only accessible within the main method.
Main method, yes.
Right? That's how the local inner class comes into picture. So member inner class. The member inner class means right now, like we have seen the two approaches, one the regular one and the one is class specific. Assuming that you are declaring a class something like a member variable means it is not specific to any particular method or constructor. You are declaring in a regular area. That's where that it comes under member inner class. That means you are declaring this class in this area. So what is this variable? It's a member variable to this class, right?
Yeah.
The same way that class also becomes a member variable for this class. That's where the member inner class is. Got it?
Okay.
And the life of that class is within these brackets. So anywhere you can access, because similar to other variables.
Oh, yeah, it's global.
It's global within that particular class. Anybody can access it.
Okay.
Right? Even that particular class can be accessed from the outside also, like a little bit of to a certain extent, depends on the accessibility permission that you use.
Okay.
Show you the uses.
So I have one doubt in this program.
Yes, this program.
We declared instance for say hello method, right?
Yes.
No, for the class my local class we created an instance my local m is equal to new my local.
Yes.
So can I create instance for that class in the main method?
How can you create? If you try this, does my local is, does this guy know what is my local?
No.
So this guy is specific to only this particular method. This guy only show method can enjoy this my local class. Nobody cannot see that what is my local.
Okay. As I declared the class in a method, so it is only restricted only to that method.
Yes, that's where the local class. Local element.
Okay.
This guy is local to this guy.
Okay. That's why I can't do that. So just I created instance for the local inner class. Just okay.
If you want to have that kind of a requirement, then you need to go to member inner class. Third one that we're going to see now.
Okay.
This somebody declare a variable. So I just created a class in the other area, like it's not specific to any particular method. Now this guy is specific to this class. Within this brackets, anywhere you can use, right?
Okay.
No. As per your requirement, now we are going to create instance for it. And around this. So from where this is, so this is not open, this member. So from where this message is coming from this say hello method. Who has invoked this method? Main class is invoked this method. How he has invoked? He has created instance for this. Once he created instance for this, then usually we know that he can access it, right? So, but he's having one more class inside. So, this instance, you need to create instance for this guy. That's what we did here. First, I created instance for the main class. Then,
Yeah, I understood that line. The second line.
the second line I'm explaining. So, once you are done with this, the main class dot this. That means this dot this name and some variable name equal to what is m this object dot new instance. That means you are creating instance under this object.
Creating instance under this. Okay.
Okay. When
I
say
didn't
m
get
dot,
it.
no, up to
M
this
dot
object.
new inner class test.
Yes. So what is m?
M is the
This
instance of
class.
member in. Yes.
So inside m we are having a lot of things, right? Generally, I can say m dot those variables, data and all those things. Those are variables, right? This guy is a class. So how do I do? I have to create instance for that class, right? Then only I'll be able to access everything. So this class name dot this class name and some variable name.
Some variable. Okay.
Here. So usually this class name, if I want to create instance, this class name, some name, right? In the same way, if I want to create instance for this one, this class name dot this class name and some name. Right? That's where I'm trying to declare a variable for and log number in a class. And now do you have instance? You're already having instance for this class. So what you have to do? And for that instance, from that instance, you need to get this variable, right? That's where m. What is m? The main object from the m. Inside that m. So whatever there is a class, create instance for this.
Okay, by using that object, we are creating instance for inner class
Our
test.
intention is we need to access this method, right? This class. So how can you access? Obviously, it has to part of some variable, right? And I say I need to access this variable. First, I will be creating an instance, right? That's what we did here. Same. Want to access this one? Definitely, I have to go with the same variable.
Yes.
That's what we are doing here.
Okay. We are using the main object.
Just the first for you first time you are just using a multiple dots and dots, but interesting here is we are just creating instance for the class which is there inside the main class.
Okay.
That's what's happening here.
Understood.
Okay. Left side you're having both the classes. Right side you're having both instances. For is already instance created. So inside that we are creating instance for another object.
Okay.
This is called the number inner class. So the quite common about the inner classes also, like you can expect the interview questions, difference between these types and how you can achieve the different types. Okay. Clear? Are there any confusion?
Yeah. No, clear.
Object cloning. Cloning means you know, right? In general word. Cloning means generally copying.
Okay, copying.
Okay. Specific to Java, it's general. Okay.
Understood.
When I say object cloning, in the simple terms, object copying.
Okay.
We have an interface called java.lang.Cloneable. And the exception is like CloneNot. So all are related. So when I say cloning means you're making a copy of it. Like how do you create a copy generally? Let's say employee is a class. Employee equal to new employee, and directly I can say e1 equal to new e2, right? So e2 is the new object and u1 is the object which is. If we want to create a copy from e1, simply I declare e2 and let's say u1. That's how we copy, right? If it is regular variables, but if you do the same thing with the classes, there will be a problem sometimes. So in order to avoid that, you need to go for a cloning. Means clonable interface. You need to implement your class, then only the expected functionality will comes into picture. Otherwise, cloning means copying doesn't work as per your expectation.
Okay, copying the object is not possible. Okay.
It is going to copy, but the internal mechanism is something different, which will not fulfill your requirement ideally.
Okay, understood.
Okay.
Understood.
So we have a student object here, right?
Mm.
I'll copy the student object directly. Leave this. This is just your field, your student object. I do not need environment serialable in this case. I'll just take out that part. So assume there is some structure here, right?
Mm.
So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an instance for it first.
Mm.
What I'll do, I'll just make it simple. Class provide context. So we are just creating a new class. So inside that we are going to create one new object. So, so there's a couple of ways. Clone test. We just have a couple of variables and we have implemented the object, right? So what we'll do,
Mm-hmm.
C1 equal to 100. Some object you have created. So I'll just have show method. So that before implementing clonable, so what's happening? I'm going to show you that. Then we'll see the difference. Roll number, name, we can do it like this, right? Generally, you can do this like this. C1 is created. I created C2 instead of C1 I'm showing. That means I'm just copying C1 details into C2, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mm.
The same, similar to other variables.
Mm.
So I got the copy data copied into other variables, right? Remember that till now we haven't used a cloning operation. So what is the problem here? You might see here. What I did there, I just modified a name after copying. I just modified a name
Mm.
for sit object,
Mm.
only for sit object.
Mm. So it applied for C1 also.
Yes. The problem is when you do like this, it is not cloning. It is just creating one more variable C2 and it is going to point to the same memory location. You can a little bit compare with the string object pooling. String we declared, right? When you do an assignment like this, Okay.
So come on, changed C2.name. Here C1 values. Oh yeah, yes. It's not cloning, right?
For example, this is memory location is 100.
Mm.
So for C2 also memory location will be 100 because when you create a C2, you are assigning C1. So what is C1? 100. So 100 reference is going to C2. So either you modify C1.name or C2.name, whatever you do, you are modifying ultimately on the same address.
Yeah,
That's the
okay.
bit it will go to, it's going to give you the same, right?
So C2 is not okay. C2 is also allocated to the same memory if we are creating the
Exactly.
variable.
The most common and confusing interview question. Most people confuse here that. So when you do like this, for us, like we are copying, but actually we are not copying. We are just referring, declaring one more variable and pointing to the same memory location.
Oh, okay, that's why it's affecting to the both same. Okay.
It's ultimately only one object.
Okay, correct. Okay, one object. Yes.
So to avoid this, it's clonable, and you need to override a method. When you implement this interface, so you are expected to override this one. What we are doing here, we are not doing anything here. This is a method from object class.
Object class. Okay.
If you remember, somewhere in the object, somewhere in the beginning, we might have. Otherwise, I might have removed it. So we somewhere we have listed object class methods, right? Sometime. Do you remember?
That's what I am seeing. Not
See the clone.
clearly. Yeah, here. Clone.
I
Yeah.
don't know why. When I search, it was not giving, but this is a clone method, right? This is a method. So the clone, whatever we are doing here, this object class method you are already inside that you are not doing anything. You are simply calling the base class functionality. That means whatever the object class functionality you are having, you are just calling it.
Okay.
Okay. Now
So once you implemented that clone
and you are
method,
simply calling the base class functionality means super.clone.
so we need to declare this exception also throws. Okay.
The throws
Clone.
are not supported. Means it will not allow you to clone sometimes. If that is,
Okay.
it's going to give you the this one. Now what I have to do, I'm creating a so that C1 I'll this part I'll comment now, right? Instead of that approach, what I'm going to do now, one dot as is so the clone not supported exception, so you are supposed to handle the exception here.
So it is showing clone cannot convert object. Okay.
And clone not supported exception. So here you need to cast into a clone first. Now what I did here, the additional part, I just implemented a class interface and I added this method because this method is throwing an exception. I'm supposed to, whenever I call this method, I'm supposed to handle an exception, right?
So why we are using that method, the top method,
Which method?
this one public object clone method.
Clone method is a superclass method. Superclass is the object is the topmost class, right? We are
Oh yeah.
overriding that
We
and we are not writing any logic. Simply we are calling that function to whatever existing in the object class.
okay. Once we are using the clone, that's why we are specifying the clone method like that.
Exactly. Cloning.
Okay.
Immediately
Okay.
allow to copy. Now earlier set equal to C1 I did. Now set equal to C1 dot clone I am doing. Okay. When I run this,
Oh,
because when this C1 100 memory location, obviously this C2 might be some other memory location. clone, it will create a new object and then it will copy all the data from C1 to C2. That means it's creating object for this and operating data from this to this guy. When you create an object, new object, obviously new memory location. Then there ends the matter. New object, you manipulate some object, it will not reflect the other object because both are different.
Okay. In main method also we should need to write this in try catch blocks. Okay.
So why means this guy is throwing an exception.
Okay. So
Whenever you are using that, then it's your responsibility because whenever you call this method, this is indicating that there is a throws clause, right? When I say throws clause, I am saying that I am going to throw this issue. So
again, we are trying to catch it. Okay.
So now you understood? Without
Understood.
So most common question in cloning is they do this, and when they just say, they'll ask you directly that I'm doing like this, I'm just cloning it. What is the problem I am facing? Like, why should I go for cloning? So when you go for this, what is the problem that we are facing? Now we know, right?
Okay, it won't allocate new memory location. It is going to allocate the same.
And then it's going to be the same object, whatever there. Any number of copies you create, just you are giving a duplicate names to the same object. But you are getting a new object. When it's a new object, it's a new room for him.
So to avoid that, we need to use the clone method.
Cloneable interface.
Cloneable interface.
Okay. Your cloneable interface, then cloning object comes into picture. Once you say cloning, means cloning is nothing but copy. It's not only Java, it's general word that we use in cloning English.
So once you run the program, first it goes to the try catch block, right?
Yes, main method, right?
Yes, main method.
This one, and when you're trying to create C2, it says that you are cloning. So that means internally it will create a new object for C with the name C2 and copy data from C1, all the fields into C2.
Okay.
It's in your home, so you can do separate values altogether.
Understood.
Yep.
Understood.
Any doubts as of this point?
No.
Clear? Okay.
Clear.
We are for today, and we'll continue tomorrow as per our regular time. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Good night.